to explain further on the treatment for the subsequent revaluation of PPE. So if you watch last video on October 2019, it explained how the second revaluation, okay, here when you revalue your land, okay, this surplus you will use up the SOPL that previously you have recognized for the deficit in previous revaluation. So the balance you just top up in ARR. So today I'm going to further explain that based on your textbook Tan Yong Tong. Okay, this is explained under 9.4.3, that is treatment for surplus and deficit. So MFRS 116 requires that if an asset carrying amount is increased, so this one refers to surplus. As a result of revaluation, the increase shall be recognized in other comprehensive income and credited to equity under the heading of revaluation surplus. So based on this sentence, it means that when you pass the entry, okay, when you pass the entry for this one, it will be credit ARR. Of course, you will debit your PPE because increase in the value of the asset. However, the increase shall be recognized in profit or loss to the extent that it reverses a revaluation decrease of the same asset. This sentence is actually referring to subsequent treatment in the subsequent revaluation. Okay, so if it is a subsequent revaluation and previously you have a deficit, previously you have debit SOPL, so surplus in the subsequent revaluation, okay, you do not credit ARR, you credit the SOPL because it reverse revaluation decrease of the same asset previously. Okay, the word previously di sini. Maknanya previously you get a deficit. So this time when you get a surplus, you will credit back the SOPL. So in this paragraph, in asset carrying amount is decreased. So this is a case if deficit. As a result of revaluation, the decrease shall be recognized in profit or loss. So of course, when it is decreased, you will credit your PPE and you will debit SOPL. However, the decrease shall be recognized in other comprehensive income, okay, under the heading of revaluation surplus to the extent of any credit balance existing in the revaluation surplus. Okay, this is for subsequent revaluation. So for subsequent revaluation, alright, and you get a deficit, so again, of course, deficit, you will reduce your asset. But in this time, you don't debit SOPL because you have a credit balance in the revaluation surplus. Therefore, you will debit ARR. Means that previously you have surplus. Okay? So this time you akan debit ARR. Untuk this one, previously, okay, previously you have a deficit. Previously deficit. So this time you akan credit SOPL. So I have explained this in the previous video. I hope that it will not make you confused further. Okay, so this is the offsetting of the surplus and deficit. So dia kata when an item of PPE is revalued for the first time, a surplus arising shall be credited to ARR. Okay, so first time surplus, you will credit ARR. But a deficit arising shall be charged to profit or loss. So this one, you understand that. If it is a deficit, okay, number one adalah first revaluation lah. That means you will debit SOPL. This rule shall be applied individually to each asset revalue and no offsetting is allowed even within the same class of property. Okay, under the property, plant and equipment, you ada banyak asset. You have building, land, machinery, motor vehicle. If you want to create this ARR, okay, it must be from the same asset. Okay, it must be applied individually. So let's say your company has different types of factory. You have office building, you have factory building, and the one that you revalue is the factory building. So kalau you revalue factory building, next time if you revalue the office building, that office building cannot mix up with the factory building. Okay, if you created ARR for factory building, okay, next time when you revalue office building, so you should create another ARR for office building. You do not add the surplus of the office building into the ARR of the factory building because they are different. Same goes if, let's say, you have 3 land. You have land A, you have land B, land C. So revaluation for land A, then it belong to land A. Land B is different. Okay, don't mix up. So in other words, a deficit arising from the revaluation of an asset cannot be offset against a surplus arising from the revaluation of another asset. This is what I mentioned just now. If you revalue your land and then next time you revalue your factory building, so the one, if you want to use up the previous, ni tak ada lah because the previous one was land. It's not the factory building. Okay, they are different lah. The treatment would be different. You cannot mix them up. In any subsequent revaluation, okay, this is where you will use up. Offset is required to provide, offset is required provided that the surplus deficit relates to a previous deficit of the same asset. So first time you revalue land A, second time you revalue land A also. So this one can use up the previous revaluation. But if the first one you revalue land A, second time you revalue land B, so this one you cannot use up the previous revaluation. Okay, I hope that you are clear on that. So for example, if a surplus relate to a previous deficit which has been charged to profit or loss, okay, deficit you debit SOPL. Okay, this one is very clear. The surplus shall be credited to profit or loss. Okay, this is for subsequent. Again, I repeat, this is for subsequent. The first time you get deficit, you have debit your SOPL. So second time you get a surplus of the same asset. So what you learn is normally surplus you have to credit AR, but because previously you get deficit for this asset, you will credit SOPL. Okay, with condition that this amount here, whatever amount here, is enough to cover the surplus that you get here in the second revaluation. If the amount is not enough, then you will top up with ARR. Okay. Okay, I hope that up to this stage you are clear on the treatment for the subsequent revaluation. Okay, thank you.